Okay. So as I said earlier today, we've got a lot of knowledge and experience in the room. A lot of speakers, a lot of things, a lot of knowledge that has been offered, a lot of opportunity to learn and discuss and dig a little bit deeper into those discussions in the context of the time that we have. So let me read some of these, and then I want to know if there are other things that people would like to do. So put on your thinking caps. Don't just be listening to me. Think back to what you heard earlier today and what you think we ought to dive a little bit deeper into when we break up into individual table sessions. And if you want to look at your agenda, we're going to do that after a networking break. We're going to have breakout round tables at 3:15. So some of the topics that were posted in the back of the room: how can we better collaborate on backhaul and IXPs? Sorry, I should probably brought my readers. I turned 50 this year and my eyes went downhill. I warned all those kids at home that now that I'm an elder in my tribe, I'm going to get very judgy and bossy. So you kids, you're wasting tribal resources. You've never known anything but gaming, damn it. So, sorry. Too honest? Too soon? Too soon? A little too soon? Okay. Beyond community leaders and experts, such as those at this summit, what can the average community member do to contribute to or support systems of internet independence? That's great. That's really good. Okay. So we've got collaboration on backhaul. Folks interested in a table about collaboration on backhaul? Voices. Everybody's gone mute. This is amazing. Do I have to start really shaming people? Sir? Yes? Yeah, where's Hawaiian Tell? Who was the former Sandwich Isles guy? Actually, I used to work at the FCC, and we're very fortunate to have Patrick Weber here, who is the bureau chief. It's a bureau that I know and love and helped build 3 offices there. And unfortunately, Patrick cannot name names. However, as a former FCC official, I can name names. It would be nice to understand how storytelling plays a role in getting resources for a community, whether that be through working with large ISPs or working with tribal communities. So I love the Hawaiian term, talk story. For those who don't understand that, we got to have a talk story table. Very good. So lessons learned in rural areas with community networking. What were challenges overcome? What challenges exist today? That is definitely, one of the things that really resonated with me earlier. I've worked with the Blackfeet Nation in Montana, and I can identify with what you're saying about what Eula was saying about feeling alone and isolated, even though there are many others in many other communities. Creating these networks, or the people networks, very, very important. Oh, wow, okay. So this person is a medical doctor. The effect of the internet on brain function development in children and adults. Well, I'll know 2 guesses as to who wrote this one. Oh. I can tell you what it does to a 12-year-old teenage daughter. She becomes very bossy. Okay, I need some help. This one I actually cannot read. So, or seriously, some readers. I'm not kidding. Okay, then somebody with younger eyes than I have. Oh, very good. Thank you.
Ooh.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Okay.
All right, remedial handwriting and...
Opening up of old memorandum of understanding and indefeasible right of use agreements that are pre-independence, pre-undeclaration of their rights of indigenous peoples for court challenges.
All right. Where are my attorneys in the room? Thank you. For commenters who cannot own, for communities, who cannot own laptops due to income, Comcast mentioned a $150 laptop program. How can a tribal government implement something like this for their GED program on loan? Question mark. Pay a portion. What kind? Pay a portion of it? Question mark. What kind of computer? So this definitely is an important element to overcoming the digital divide. Personal device use. As far as just basic statistics work, the folks in this room are way, way advanced in device use compared to the world in general. So we'll work and make sure that there's a table that we're talking about devices and how to get good devices, not just second class or used devices, into indigenous communities. There's a lot of knowledge in this area to be shared, I believe, and a number of entities out there, not just carriers or providers that are interested in getting their products out. Are policymakers in Washington, D.C. doing enough to connect tribal communities? If not, what needs to be done? This will be my table. There are a number of things, actually, that our tribal nations are advocating for before the United States, and I'm sure we need some interaction with our colleagues in Canada. I'm very interested. I was hearing about Bert saying he's really had a challenge getting some funding at the state level here as well. It'd be interesting to hear what is going on. Think about group table discussions or activities to break up long sessions of panelists, Bert. Did that verbalize that? I'm sorry. Two-way communication more often with interface, I believe. So that'll be a suggestion for ISOC. We'll make sure they get that. Wow, this one is, who wrote this one? Sorry to put somebody on the spot, but policy of access. Where did that come from? I wonder what that means. I mean, I know what it means at a larger level. What? Okay, we'll have to find somebody to. No? The person who wrote this isn't in the room? Policy of access? Okay. Good question. How many indigenous and tribal communities are actively working to get broadband? And how? Operation models or finance models? This would be something I think that Matt and I and a few others could definitely discuss, provide a few models. In the United States, there are actually 10 tribally owned and operated, fully regulated telcos that receive large amounts of support from the FCC. They are much like any other small telecommunications company. The oldest of these is actually in one of the poorest regions of the United States, the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe Telephone Authority. They are over 70 years old. They actually bought their old telephone lines from the Bureau of Indian Affairs back in the 50s and have deployed fiber where once there was never anything, not even telephone service. So when somebody comes to me and says, boy, this is really very, very difficult, I tell them about the story like Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, or for those of you who are familiar with Standing Rock, the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, the issues on Sunday when we went to go visit the Mauna and were formally greeted and welcomed to the Mauna, and I had to dust off some Chickasaw that I can almost speak well. I was reminded that we have similar issues on the continent with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. Standing Rock Sioux Tribe has 70% unemployment, and they were the first fully regulated wireless telephone company in the United States. They started their own wireless company. So if the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe can start a wireless telephone company, anybody can get into this game. How to promote formal education and networking technologies to help build and promote community networks. So educators, the educator folks in the room, we will work on a table for that. So are these beginning to hit home with you? Are there other topics that people are thinking about, discussing, wanting to know a little bit more about? Yes. Spectrum. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a hug for that one. So there's a couple things to discuss in spectrum. Obviously, there's a wonderful opportunity out in the United States for 2.5 gigahertz. The Commission has adopted an opportunity for tribes and tribal entities to obtain a license through a tribal priority, but also spectrum at a larger level. What is spectrum? How does it work? What does it mean? How does it fit into this wonderful wireless network? What does it mean to try to build something that these wonderful supercomputers that we carry in our pockets and our purses can deliver? I'm not quite sure about the state of spectrum in Canada, so maybe if there's somebody here from Canada who can help contribute to that discussion, we can certainly do that. And I think that brings us full circle. Oh, I'm sorry here. How does the independent and sovereign nation of Hawaii view broadband and leverage the advancement of connectivity towards achieving independence? So they would be delighted to speak about that, I'm sure. So we'll get Bumpy and Brandon and John Garcia to post up at one of the tables. So the challenges communities face when dealing with impacts of the internet on their society. So this is prescient, this is relevant. When the internet comes to your door, there are a number of things that come to your door as well. You have to be prepared, not just, and I'm speaking as a United States citizen that's been a part of the 3 biggest hacks in the history of the United States, including the the United States Government Office of Personnel Management. I really don't have a lot of privacy left. Also cybersecurity, and then of course also taking care of children, concerns about pornography, concerns about the dark web and other things. Oh hey, I read my name on this one. Following on Kat's and Jeff's points about every community needs being different and warning against a one-size-fits-all approach, digital inclusion versus delivering broadband. That's interesting. I'm not sure what that one means. Somebody? Okay. And do we know that unconnected and underconnected indigenous and rural communities need 25 megabits per second? There are those of us that say they might need more, a lot more. But that's actually a really good discussion about what is it. You know, what is the regulatory standard out there? What is a better standard? What's reality look like? What do you need to run a community or a government? There are a lot of folks who have this sort of experience in the room. Are we often assuming that internet connectivity means broadband when we advocate for connectivity solutions for communities? I think so. Maybe I'm missing a point in this question. What are the impacts to digital inclusion and affordability when we assume that broadband is synonymous with internet? So who was it that wrote this one? Can you elaborate just a little bit? Can you speak up?
What we talked about a little bit before. One of the things that we've discussed with communities, and I'm kind of following on Kat's and your conversation earlier. The needs of every community might not be the same, and I think I had another conversation at lunch where we talked about some people are interested in entertainment, some people are really looking for that educational opportunity or access to government services, access to financial services, ones that a lot of us tend to take for granted today, social resources, everything that impacts the health of the community from emotional, physical, mental, financial, sustainability. So what is it that the internet really needs to deliver in order to make those impacts? So we talk a lot about essential internet, and there's a lot of talk about I think with broadband, the potential for getting sucked down the path of maybe more than essential internet. One of the people from La Loma actually brought up a great analogy. So we want to deliver water. So we want to deliver enough water to make sure that people can clean, cook, live, sustain themselves, their daily lives. But we don't need swimming pools in every backyard. Swimming pools are great, they're fun, it's entertainment. But what happens if we try to deliver swimming pools in every backyard? Your water infrastructure becomes incredibly expensive. So the point of that question is, there are a lot of communities with a smaller group of population that may not be able to afford the big iron. So, changing sort of, and I hear a lot of that conversation about broadband, it becomes kind of the default for what does internet mean. So what we're kind of hoping to do is have an open discussion about, is that really what's needed? And what are the impacts in terms of project feasibility? How many people are being left behind in terms of communities? And within those communities, how many people are being left behind?
So this is probably one to end on as well, and then we'll take our networking break. Would we collectively make for better advocates for connecting more communities and people and leave fewer behind if we were to help governments, community leaders, and citizens to pursue digital inclusion and affordability first and foremost, and broadband delivery as a secondary goal? So this is insightful, and I compliment you on it. In the United States, there's a very important program called Lifeline. It's a federal program that was designed long ago to help impoverished homes pay for their telephone service. And about 10 years ago, the FCC upgraded that program to cover broadband. And it has been the source of a lot of controversy because there are those that see it as federal largesse and spending. So there is this question about how do we support? Is it time to do something different with those monies, the Lifeline program? And what does that look like? How do we, is it a valuable goal? Is it a valid governmental goal? Is it a goal of society to essentially subsidize lower income communities to make them middle class communities for their consumption of this critical infrastructure? So an interesting sort of heady discussion about not just what are you building, but how do you pay for it, and how are there multiple different ways of paying for it?